as promised, this is a more in-depth look at the Invisible Woman from the Fantastic Four figure set released by Toy Biz. Now, she did have a alternate or variant figure which represented her in her invisible state, which was made of clear plastic, but this is the one I got. I figure she warrants her own sort of video entry. A, because she's the only Invisible Woman figure that I have, and B, that she is the only unique full figure that came in the set. So let's get into the sculpt. Again, you might have seen that the other video, she's very much purposely sculpted to look like the cartoonish art of Mike Wieringo, who was the Fantastic Four artist at the time. She has the very John Byrne-like uniform with the white parts on the neck and the gloves and boots there. Her articulation is pretty much the Elektra body and arms. You got the they do go all the way around. They've got the extra joint here at the shoulder, as well as go in and out at the shoulder. You got the double bicep thing, which is really puzzling. Now one here and one here. You have the double joint at the elbow. Rotate at the forearm there. Bend at the wrist. And her fingers are all articulated to move together. It's got ab articulation and waist articulation. Now the hips, I think, are quite unique, and I think they really, Toy Biz had realized the problems of the Elektra and Rogue and other female figures with the way they went out to the side, and tried to fix it with this, and they did a pretty good job. I think if they just had refined this a little bit more, it would have worked. You see here that the hips, the legs go forward a lot, back just a little bit, and out to the side, not as much as other figures, but they do have some side articulation there, but it really kind of maintains that shape of, well, of a woman, and unfortunately it doesn't quite get all the articulation that I guess people would want in an action figure, but it does have the thigh swivel there, a double knee joints, and rotate at the shin there, a bend at the ankle pivot, and the toe articulation there. I do kind of like this sculpt, and I think if they had kind of expanded on trying to fix this, they might have come up with something really interesting and neat. But they kind of went a different route with the hips for the female figures, and they kind of abandoned trying to refine that type of joint, which is, I think it's a shame. But I think it really does give it a little bit more of a feminine look. My particular complaint about this figure is that the ankle joints are just too they're too flimsy. Now I haven't tried to stiffen them up yet, and they're good enough for standing up on its own, so it doesn't really, when she's in a neutral position, she stands just fine. It's getting her into other positions, more dynamic positions, where they tend to really just flop forward, and they flop so forward as to, look how far the feet there bend. It's kind of comical. Yeah, I think I will try and fix her feet with some super glue or something. But I always concerned about ruining her ankle pivot there, because it's such a small foot. She grew up in Glenville, Long Island, the daughter of a Dr. Franklin and May Storm, until a car accident left the father a single father with both her and her brother Johnny. Guilt of surviving led to both gambling and drinking problems, and he lost his license and practice. To make ends meet, he was providing medicine and medical care to gangsters, and on the kind of like a black market doctor. He was so drunk that he actually killed one of these guys, and that led to him actually going off to jail. So the two kids moved in with an aunt, and she really had to grow up and become a more parental figure rather than a sibling to Johnny. That's where she meets Reed for the first time, when he rents a room from that same aunt while attending the university, and she develops a little childhood crush on him. He moves away, and she goes to high school and finishes that, and leaves to go to California to become an actor or some such thing, and that's where she runs into Reed again, and they start a serious relationship. And of course, we know from then on, she agrees to go on the launch of the spaceship that he's created, and gets exposed to cosmic rays and becomes the Invisible Girl. And eventually she develops not only the ability to become invisible, but also to create force fields. She briefly is able to reconcile with her father, who actually sacrifices himself to save the FF from a Skrull trap. She gets married to Reed Richards, of course, which leads to having their first child, Franklin. Because of his mutant powers, unlike most mutants who develop at puberty, he's starting to exhibit powers right from birth. Pretty soon after, Reed Richards induces a coma to prevent Franklin from using his powers. This, of course, doesn't sit well with Sue, because he just does it, and this causes a brief separation. However, they are reunited, and Franklin comes out of the coma with his powers being drained away by some villain or another, and still having powers but at a reduced rate. Second pregnancy results in a stillborn birth. This also causes some strife in the marriage, and it leads to her manipulation by the Fantastic Four foe of the Psycho Man, and he introduces this Malice persona, and she's attacks the Fantastic Four under this Malice persona, and eventually is able to overcome it, and because of her struggle, she now changes her name from the Invisible Girl to the Invisible Woman. So thereafter, she and Reed retire from the superhero business, or they try to retire from the superhero business to raise Franklin in a normal environment. However, they can't escape that for long, because Captain America, then known as the Captain, convinces them to join the Avengers briefly. After that, they go back to the Fantastic Four and pretty much stayed there. I should mention Onslaught, where they are shunted into a pocket dimension by Franklin and saved from being killed. And they eventually come out of that pocket dimension and return to the Marvel Universe. But they run into a young teen who claims to be the daughter of Dr. Doom and Sue Richards. Well, they find out that this is not quite true, and what Valeria, this teen, is actually the second child, which Franklin created a whole alternate timeline for, and sent her into that timeline to be saved, I guess. So she was eventually reduced back to a fetus and is put back inside Sue's womb, and she gives birth again to Valeria. This time they avoid her death by consulting Dr. Doom to help with the birth. Not that didn't cause problems, because Doom tried to use her against the Fantastic Four, but they sorted that out too. Civil War, she joined the anti-registration movement after Bill Foster was killed, and left Reed because of that. But when the Civil War ended, they reconciled, and they actually took some more time off from the Fantastic Four to work on their relationship and stuff. They were replaced by the Black Panther and Storm for a little bit. And right now, she's, like all the rest of the Fantastic Four, she's trying to deal with the loss of her brother, the Human Torch, and is part of the new FF Future Foundation. I guess that'll be it. Hopefully getting something out of this. Again, I think she warranted a little bit more than just the small bit part that she would have had in the video on the whole set that she came in. She's my only Sue Storm figure that really warranted having her in her own video. Stay tuned for some more Marvel Legends stuff, and until my next video, I'll see you.